Hey everybody, how are you today? My name is Stephanie and I'm here to just chat with you a little bit while I put on my makeup. For those of you who are new, this is not a makeup tutorial. I'm just putting on makeup while I talk to you to have something to do while I talk, which I like to do. Today I am coming to you live from my sense of personal accomplishment. I achieved a goal this morning, which I will tell you about in a little bit, that I've been working toward for not too terribly long, but long enough that when I finally did it, it just felt really good to have it done. So I'm going to talk to you or share with you what that is, but first I have to figure out why my eye is acting weird. And secondly, I wanted to talk to you about the importance of celebrating our small accomplishments as we work toward bigger accomplishments. Where did I leave off? Okay, I don't always do this on camera, so I'm a little lost. Anyway, so as you might know, if you've been watching my videos, earlier this year I had surgery on my ankle. I had a couple of torn tendons, and I had actually sustained the injury quite some time ago. And then an injury I had last fall just aggravated everything and made it incredibly painful just to walk, let alone do anything else like I was accustomed to doing for my workouts and stuff. So I had to have surgery, and I had that in June. Now, when I had surgery, I anticipated about a 3-month recovery and thought, well, then I can just get back to business as usual. And that has not proven to be the case. And if you've had ankle surgery before, you know what I'm talking about, and you're like, yeah, Stephanie, sure you were going to get back to business as usual after 3 months. That's very optimistic. So I spent all summer in first I was in a splint, then I was in a cast, and then I went into a walking boot, and I got out of the boot at the end of July. And I thought, well, great, the hard stuff is over, and now I can pick up where I left off with my fitness and so forth, and life is good. But of course that did not turn out to be the case. I wouldn't find out until after I talked to my doctor about this pain and swelling I was having. I wouldn't find out that's actually quite normal, even 3 months out. And it actually takes about 6 months to see the full benefits of the surgery. It was very disappointing news to hear, to say the very least. And it was difficult because prior to my injury, and certainly prior to having surgery, I was a pretty active person. I liked to go hiking. I liked to take long walks, like 5, 6, 7 miles at a time. When I wasn't doing that, I would work out at home pretty vigorously. I mean, I really enjoyed being active and staying fit. So the news that getting back to those things in the capacity that I was hoping for was going to take longer than anticipated was not necessarily news I wanted to hear. So I did my physical therapy. I did my exercises to help the healing along and get myself stronger after a whole entire summer of not really using that ankle. And earlier this week, I started doing chair aerobics. Now, up until this point, when I started back to working out, I had still been doing stretches and specific stretches to stretch like my hamstrings, my inner thighs, my quads, my hip flexors, because of this goal that I was working toward. So I got back to workouts, like cardio workouts, earlier this week, and continued with my stretches. And it felt really good to be back at it. I can't even put into words how good that felt. It was just, I had missed it so much. Just that sense of having to work hard and get my blood pumping, you know, get my breathing going, really put my heart and my lungs through their paces, and it just felt so good. And that in itself was amazing. And I continued working toward this other goal that I had. And what I realized was this: sometimes we get so focused on the larger goal. In the case of workouts, my goal when I had surgery was to get back to taking long walks and going hiking and so forth as quickly as possible. Like, that was what I wanted to do. And when I found out I was not going to be able to do that in the time frame that I hoped for, at first it was really difficult, as I mentioned, but then I realized something. I can still exercise, I can still get a good workout, and I can do it sitting in a chair. And there are so many videos on YouTube that can help me do that. So I started doing that, and it felt really, really good. And I realized that it's really important to celebrate those small goals that we have, those small accomplishments, because we live in a culture here in America that doesn't celebrate those small things enough. It's like, you know, if you're not doing big things, then it's not worth celebrating at all. It's not worth talking about. It's not worth sharing. It's like, get back to me when you've done something bigger than that, when you have a real accomplishment to talk about. And I think that's so unfortunate, because there are people who are doing things every day that are small accomplishments that actually mean a really big deal. I think especially through this pandemic, a lot of us have really struggled with depression, anxiety, maybe both at the same time, and the sense that, you know, the struggle to be productive has been real for a lot of people, because when we're so overwhelmed with uncertainty and anxiety and depression, and we're constantly, you know, doom scrolling on Twitter, or for some people Facebook, you know, looking for the next piece of bad news, it becomes really easy to get stuck in this cycle of wanting to accomplish things, but also feeling like you can't, because, you know, your mind is just not in a good place. And that's perfectly, I mean, that's something that we should expect going through the things that are happening right now, especially here in the United States. You know, it's not good. We're going through a lot. We're in the middle of a very contentious election cycle where, you know, if the right people don't win in November, and for me the right people means Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, there's a very strong possibility that this country is, you know, democracy in this country is going to die a very quick death. And so there's that. There is the uncertainty about the pandemic and what's going to happen there, because people are getting tired of following the necessary precautions. So rather than following them, they're, you know, in the name of their freedom, they're choosing to just disregard them entirely, and more people are getting sick. You know, there's just a lot going on. So it would be perfectly normal, I think, to kind of shut down a little bit, to do, you know, for a lot of us to feel that it's just too much and we're going to shut down for a little while. And if that's you, I mean, that's a normal reaction to that kind of stress, and I don't want you to beat yourself up for not being more productive. You know, demanding that people be productive right now who are struggling it's just cruel, in my opinion. And also, as I mentioned, we are not a society that generally celebrates small victories. You know, we want the big stuff. Go big or go home. So as I started working out and started feeling stronger, granted I'm only 3 days into this cardio workout thing, I realized I'm actually achieving something major, because I had not been able to really work out for quite some time other than doing my physical therapy. So being able to do a workout sitting in my chair and feeling like I was actually accomplishing something with building strength and building endurance, that was pretty awesome. And it was something I was very excited about. Now I continued also working toward my personal goal. And my personal goal was to be able to do the splits. And that might sound silly, but if you pay attention to pop culture at all, maybe you understand why I wanted to. That's all I will say. I'm 45 years old. I'm overweight. I have never been someone who really got into like yoga and stuff like that. I've done it, but it's never been my go-to. I like movement. I like challenging cardio. Those are kind of my things. But you know, I've always been very good at stretching, and I've always been pretty flexible. But this goal of doing the splits was something that was a challenge for me because, as I mentioned, I'm 45. I'm overweight. I just had surgery in June. I'm not, you know, in regard to the type of things that, you know, being able to do the splits requires, I am not the most flexible. But this morning, after weeks of stretching a little bit more every day and challenging my body to go just a little bit further every day, I was able to do the splits. And the funny part was I didn't even realize I was doing it until I realized I could feel the mat that I do my stretching on. I could feel the mat. I was in contact with the mat on the front of one thigh and then on the back of the other thigh, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually doing it. And I like looked down and I was like, oh my gosh, I am doing the splits. Mission accomplished. And the sense of achievement is still pretty amazing to me. I'm kind of like on this high because I did something that I have been trying to do for a little bit, and I got it done. It was amazing. So what are your goals? What is something that you're working toward right now? It doesn't have to be a fitness goal. It can just be anything. And if you're somebody who's struggling, maybe your goal has been this week, I'm going to take showers every day and make sure I put on clean clothes every day. And that's my goal. And that's okay. Maybe you're good with that, but you're still struggling with other things because of the stress of everything happening. And maybe your goal is I want to do some writing every day, but I'm not feeling it the way I used to. So my goal is to write for 5 minutes every day. And that's a good goal. Celebrate the small things that you're able to accomplish rather than looking at the big things maybe you're not able to do right now. Because when all we're focused on is the big stuff, we're going to miss a lot of the small stuff that we're doing that's pretty dang awesome. And that's unfortunate. And if anybody tells you that only the big achievements matter, they're lying to you, and they are setting you up to feel like nothing you do matters unless it's a big thing. And in American culture, not only does it have to be a big thing, but it has to be a big thing that can be monetized, which is really unfortunate because there are a lot of people who are doing a lot of awesome stuff and they're not doing it for money. All right. I have, once again, I've been trying to figure out the issue with space on my phone, and I'm finding that to be harder than it should be for some reason. For some reason, the memory on my phone is just not being kind. So I'm going to be pausing and doing a few things off camera and then coming back and talking to you, blah, 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 yada, yada. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back for a minute. You didn't miss much. I just did my eyebrows. And now I'm working on my eye makeup. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Is there a goal that you have for yourself that you feel as though it's not worth working toward because you can't do everything right now? You know, I've written a couple books. My first book, though, well, my first book was actually a satirical book called The War on Christmas, which at least one person mistakenly believed was actually about a war on Christmas, and I don't know why they would think that, but okay. But my second book, it's called Raised Evangelical, Losing My Faith and Finding Myself, and it was the culmination of probably about a decade of the thought, I want to write a book about my life, and you know, often feeling as though my story is not worth telling, but at the same time still keeping a blog and getting a lot of good reactions from my blog posts and a lot of people saying, hey, you should write a book. And I finally last year decided, you know what, maybe I should write a book. And all the prep work that I had done in my writing practice in the years before I finally decided to turn some of that into a book, it prepared me for that work. And it prepared me to achieve this big goal I had, because I had been doing smaller things all along. Had I not done those things, keeping a blog, you know, engaging with people on social media, listening to people's stories and so forth, had I not done all of that, being able to write my book would have been a lot more difficult, because I would not have been at all prepared for the discipline it takes to actually sit down and write a book and to form my thoughts on paper, which is not an easy thing if you've ever tried to do that. So my point is, smaller things that we're doing along the way can add up to much bigger things later. And I don't want you to dismiss those small things that you're doing. Don't think that, well, I want to write a book, but so-and-so just wrote one and they probably told their story better than I can tell mine, so it's not worth doing. Yes, it is. It's still worth doing. You know, if your goal is, if it's a fitness goal, I don't want you thinking, well, I was going to do that and share my journey, you know, about that with people, but so, you know, this person's already doing it and they're doing it better than me, so I'm not doing it. I'm telling you, I really do believe that comparison is the thief of joy, and I think that comparison also robs us of any sense of accomplishment that we might feel if we weren't so busy comparing ourselves to other people who are working toward the same goals we are and maybe getting at it a little bit faster than we might be. You know, the longer I'm on this planet, the more I become convinced that wherever you are is where you're supposed to be. And that's not easy for me to say, because my life is not at all where I want it to be right now. Well, I shouldn't say not at all. Again, we're getting back to the tendency to dismiss small achievements. I did the splits this morning, you guys. I don't know if I can convey to you how good that felt to be able to say I did that. Does that mean everything else in my life is where I want it to be? No, but it also means that I shouldn't dismiss the things that aren't how I want them to be just because they're not how I want them to be. I can still work toward other goals I have for myself in the same small ways I worked toward a fitness goal I had for myself. And you can do that too. We need to stop dismissing the value of these small accomplishments. All right, I'm struggling here. I will be right back again. All right, I'm back, and I think I'm going to stay to the end this time. So I've done everything else. I'm sorry I didn't do it on camera, but I was really having a hard time there. I did get a request to apply lashes on camera, so I'm going to try. But as I do that, I would love it if you could leave some comments for me about a goal you're working toward and small steps you can do to make that goal a reality. It doesn't have to be any specific type of goal. All I ask is you keep your comments PG. It doesn't have to be a fitness goal, financial goal, career goal. It doesn't have to be anything specific. But whatever you're working toward, I would really love to know, and I would love it if you could share what you're doing to achieve it. Because I think that we can do so much to encourage each other as we find our way through, especially now when people are feeling really isolated from one another, and reading how other people are getting by is helpful. Okay, here we go. I don't know if this is going to work or not. I've never done it on camera, but that's not stopped me before, so. And these are magnetic lashes that I'm using, in case you didn't figure that part out. This inner corner is like my nemesis. I do not do well with it. It's not too bad. All right, there's one. Let's try it for the other one. I'm using Glamnetic eyeliner. I've used other kinds, like cheaper kinds, because the lashes I'm using are just some cheapies I got off Amazon. I do have Glamnetic lashes, but those are not the ones I wanted today. But these cheapies work beautifully, but the eyeliner that came with them, not so much. The key to this eyeliner, I am finding, is to make sure you apply a nice thick line. Because when I put on my regular eyeliner, I don't make it very thick. I keep it tight to the lash line, but clearly that would not work for this. All right. See, small goals. A few weeks ago when I was, okay, I shouldn't say a few weeks ago, a few months ago when I first started doing lashes, I had no idea what I was doing. I still don't have much of an idea, but I have a better idea. And I have learned for myself that using the tweezers does not work well for me. I have to use my fingers. See, it's always one or the other lash that does not go where I want it to go. And then I end up getting a little bit sweary. But I won't. Not on camera. Alright. Oh, you guys and gals. Oh, I think I got it. There we go. There we go. So anyway, mission accomplished again. My sense of personal accomplishment today is just through the roof. Anyway, so think about what I said. Think about those goals you have that maybe you've been putting off because you feel like you're not achieving them fast enough. And revisit those goals and see if there's a way you can do small steps to work toward the larger goal. Because even small accomplishments are worth celebrating. I'm a big believer in that. And my accomplishment this morning and just now, right on camera, is proof enough to me that the small accomplishments really do matter. So thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope you find these videos beneficial. If you do, please like and subscribe and share. And take care of yourself. Give yourself credit for what you do instead of beating yourself up for what you're not doing. And be kind to each other. Don't should all over yourselves. Don't should all over each other. Be safe out there. And I will talk to you again really soon. Bye.